like, whatever. Anyway, what's up, tribe? How you guys doing? Welcome back to this is going to be your review for the season finale of Insecure. So season 4, episode 10.
Which they should have made an hour.
And of course, she's back.
She? Janae is back.
Anyway, so we start this episode off. We see Issa at the farmer's market, and she's looks like she's by herself at first, but then who comes rolling up? My man Lawrence. So I'm Team Lawrence. She's Team Nathan.
No,
whatever.
It's not that I'm Team Nathan. I'm Team peace, love, happiness, and abundance in the form that you want it in, and I want a certain package. And at times, Lawrence fits that package. At times, he does not. So when he does not fit that package, I am not Team Lawrence. When he does, I am Team Lawrence. Last episode, I was very much so Team Lawrence.
You can't just switch up, though.
Yes, you can.
You can't.
When you have certain things that you want, X, Y, Z, and this person fits that list, okay, I'm Team you. When you don't fit that list, I am not Team you. That's regular life stuff. And see, this is where we disagree.
Moving on. So we find out that Lawrence got the job. So he is on his way to San Francisco. He said he got him a corner office, an assistant, all of that. And immediately after, they do the fake, oh, congratulations, because I don't think Issa really meant congratulations. I think from the very beginning, in the back of Issa's mind, she was like, oh, shit. But then he was like, so what does this mean for us? Like, does that mean that this is done? And Issa was like, hell no. You a 45-minute flight away. We're going to make it work. And if things continue to work out, then, like, I don't have no problem relocating. He was like, well, all your friends and stuff are here. She was like, what friends? I mean, we know she has other friends other than Molly, but it's, again, let's be clear. What Issa's trying to build a reputation as, like, doing events and stuff like that. Like, she legit can do that somewhere else. Even though she is building up connections in LA, like, she can legit go to San Fran to do what she's doing. Yeah. So she's down for it. Everything is cool.
Because I'm sure they got like a little niche black community there.
Absolutely. I mean, well, she could just venture out to Oakland and all of that. Child, she can make it do what it do. So, and for the amount of money that Laura's gonna be making, she be alright.
Hey!
So, I mean, she did take care of Lawrence for a couple of years.
He owe her something.
Exactly. So now we're at a bar association event. Looks like it's probably the Black Bar Association people.
Yeah, it was like Langston something.
Yeah, with a name like Langston, I mean, it's probably the black people. And we see Molly there with her man, and, they're having a good time, and everything is everything. And then they say, listen, there's going to be an after party. And Molly was like, yeah. And Andrew was like, no. And her friend was like, I'm going to let y'all figure that out, and we're going to be at the after party. If you can come, you can come. So Molly decides that she's going to negotiate and was like, well, if I get the bartender to play one of your artist songs, at least you'll feel like you part of the, you part of the party. Can you come through?
And I thought that was a nice gesture for Molly.
I feel like it was a nice gesture for Molly, but once again, I felt like you want your way.
She does want her way, but normally Molly would just ask for her way. So the fact that Molly is saying, hey, can we do a little quid pro quo, like, I'll do this for you, like, I know you got your own vibes and everything, like.
And in Molly's mind, she probably did feel like she was compromising.
She did. I'm telling you, she did.
I'm sure. No, I know she did. I'm sure in her mind she thought she was compromising, but in reality, I feel like Andrew has bent more than she has, all the way across the board. So
he's the beta in the relationship.
Right. And you could definitely tell he wasn't feeling it. He kind of hesitated, but then he was like, all right, whatever, But you could tell he really wasn't feeling it. So she went down to Nathan's shop, and he is showing her some space that he said she can use for her next event. We know it's going to be some sort of healthy thing because she went to all the juiceries and all of that. So we still don't know the name of this next event, but, Nathan is showing her the space, and he was like, yeah, we have plans for this space to expand the barbershop, but for now, you can use it. We got to, it needs some work, but it's definitely going to be a nice space. It's in the neighborhood, connected. So his barbershop is going to get all that credit. He was talking about the free promo, at the same time. And then he apologizes to Issa and lets her know, look, I know I was acting a little funky when you told me that you was messing with Lawrence, but like for real, I still like you. You know.
I just want you in my life as a friend right now.
Right. Well, no, the reality is no. Let me tell you what that is. Hold on, I'm gonna get to that in a second. That's what he said. I'm gonna tell you what he meant though. Hold on.
Yeah, you know, that's what they said.
You know, what he meant was, I know Lawrence gonna fuck up, so I'm just gonna be here to pick up the pieces. That's what he meant. What he said was all the right things so that Issa wouldn't kick him to the curb and stop being friends with him.
I know, but that is a relationship she should maintain, because at the end of the day, yes, you messed up, but the fact that you came back from that and you were there when I really needed you to be there for me, that carries some weight. That carries some weight.
Does it?
Who would have been her performer if Molly didn't come through? If she couldn't reach...
Oh, no. I understand that part of it, but I'm just saying, like, at the end... See, again, whatever. Your point is valid. But I'm just... And I like Nathan. Don't get me wrong. I like Nathan out, but...
So what
if Issa and Lawrence weren't on this road, I'd be all team Nathan. Because I like Nathan.
Are they really on?
They're on the road to reconciliation. They are back together. And I want to see it work because I like Lawrence, and I like Lawrence and Issa together.
I do like Lawrence and Issa together.
I feel like I'm vested in this shit.
I do like. Look, I'm not gonna lie. I like them together. I do.
So anyway, we are back at Molly's apartment, and Andrew is like, you know, she was like, you know, admit you had a good time. He was like, yeah, it was alright, you know, but you could tell he really didn't mean that he had a good time. He just meant it was alright.
I had a good time for being around them type of people.
Right, I had a good time because you made me go, and it wasn't totally horrible, but I really would have been happy coming home. So then he started talking about the final LaToya reunion. Now, they ain't final LaToya, but they having a damn reunion show. And he was like, you know, I missed all the spoilers, but, you know, let's watch it. And she was like, I'm kind of tired, you know, I'm going to go to bed. And he was like, all right, well, I'll watch it without you. And she was like, no, you can't watch it without me. And Andrew was like, of course, everything is on your time. So then, of course, you know, then Molly was like, like, what does that mean? And so Andrew starts telling her how he feels like everything in their relationship is on her schedule and on her time. And he starts giving her, here's what I hate when people do.
Don't talk about how he was really mad about everything else.
No, that's not what I was going to say. What I hate that people do is, I give you 20 examples of what I mean, and then you say, well, tell me what you're talking about. He gave her the example of her work. He gave her the example of his brother. He wanted to say Issa, but he didn't bring Issa up.
No, he didn't. I was going to bring Issa up.
I thought he was going to bring Issa up. But I could tell he wanted to bring Issa ass up, but
he knew that was too fresh. He didn't want to make her upset because at the end of the day, he knew what he really wanted to say, and he didn't want her to last shot before he really got to say what he really wanted to say.
Right. Because he brought up the brother situation, and of course it was, well, I mean, he was rude to me and he was disrespectful, but then she gonna turn around and say, but, I'm sorry. No, like, again, it goes back to what your therapist said last week, Molly. You are unwavering. Like, when somebody does you wrong, it's like there's no redemption. And yeah, his brother was wrong. His brother said some fucked up stuff, but he is also trying to make amends, and he's trying to say, listen, alright, my bad. You know, I'm sorry. Like, at what point do you allow people to apologize and say they're sorry? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, and then Andrew, you know, and she was like, well, you know, you complained about my work schedule, and I found a way to include you, and you still get mad at me. Yeah, you included me, but it was still on your terms. Like, I told you I didn't want to go to the after party. Had to go to the after party. He was like, if the situation had been reversed, how would that have went down? Now, while they're in the middle of arguing, Kelly is blowing Molly's phone up. I mean, she sent Kelly the voicemail a couple of times, and then finally she answered the phone, like, what is going on? Because Kelly was just back and forth, like, back to back calling. Honey, come to find out Tiffany missing. Now, listen, I called that. I called a couple of things this episode. We're going to get to the other stuff I called. But I called that at the block party. I said, Tiffany going to flip out. Now, I ain't going to say I knew Tiffany was going to run off and disappear. But I knew something was, I mean, anybody saw that at the block party. How she let him go home, how she was talking about the baby, and like all of that, you know, went down with the block party and her drinking, talking about some pumping and dumping, and yeah, all of that. And so Tiffany disappeared, honey. She told him she needed some time to herself, and then And then she was gone. Like, she was gone overnight. Ain't heard back from her. So, of course, everybody is frantically looking for Tiffany. Now, I guess the last place she said she was going was the movie theater. Because, like, they went straight to this movie theater.
Yeah.
Now, she was gone overnight. What the hell made... I don't know. Anyway, they went to the movie theater, child. So, of course, Molly and Issa are both there. And it's this uneasy, you know, an uneasiness between the two of them. And, like, even when they were there, and there was, like, 2 concession stands, and Issa was like, well, which one should we go to first? And, you know, Molly was like, well, maybe we should just do it separately. And Issa was like, yeah, of course. So then Molly was standing there looking like, well, what the fuck? You know what I'm saying? She ain't at the movie theater, but they follow the breadcrumbs to the bar, because it's one of those movie theaters that has a bar. So they get to the bar, and then they figure out that maybe she went to another Mexican restaurant. So they go there. They get the man to show them the surveillance tape. They see her on the tape, and then they see her get on the bus. Now, everybody, I think, did a collective what when we saw Tiffany ass get on a damn city bus. Because there was a Lyft charge that he ain't mentioned, and Kelly was like, bruh, like, how could you not tell us that there was a Lyft charge? And Issa, being the Lyft driver extraordinaire that she was able to figure out the mileage times the amount of the ride, and which Mexican restaurant she had gone to.
Because it's a chain.
It is a chain.
Yeah.
So they get there. They're on the city bus. Now, this was a moment on the bus where the husband was like, you know, I screwed up. You know, he was really having a moment where he was blaming himself. And Issa was telling him, listen, you made mistakes. Everybody made a mistake. You did the best you could. Nobody's perfect. You know, you didn't do anything wrong. You've been there for her. You tried to be there for her in the best way you knew how. And her and Molly keep having these moments, these looks. And you feel like Issa was probably talking to Molly in some of those things she was saying?
Yeah.
Do you feel like Molly heard her?
I feel like Molly was her typical defensive stuff.
You don't think Molly heard none of it?
No. I feel like Molly usually doesn't hear anything that people try to tell her.
But in that moment, you don't feel like she heard anything? I feel like she did. I feel like in that moment, she realized that people can make mistakes and it doesn't make them a bad person or unredeemable. But I could be wrong. But I'm just saying, in that moment, that's how I felt. Then we have a Kelly moment with the bus driver.
Oh, yeah. What happened?
They figured out she was at the Sheraton.
Yeah.
But they were passing the Sheraton, so they were asking the bus driver if he could let them off the bus, and he was like, nope, I can only let y'all off at the designated spots. And he wasn't going to let them off, even though they were sitting at a red light. Now, I'm going to say this. I had a friend who drove for a bus.
Yeah.
And he got fired for that.
What you mean?
He got fired for letting people off at places that wasn't on the bus route.
Why did he get fired?
Because you're only supposed to let people off and on at the designated stop. That's a liability.
He got fired for that?
His supervisor was following him, and he didn't know his supervisor was following him, and he was letting people off. Like, and he did it for the right reasons. Like, he had elderly people who he let them off closer to their house. On the right road, he just didn't let them off, like, at the spot. He got fired.
I can tell you he does not work in Philly, because in Philly, people who, they will curse you out, call you all types of names, and be like, let me off. Let me off.
He got fired. So
he might get punched in the face if you don't let somebody off when they
see how savage they are up in Philly, child.
Savages.
It was probably you and your mama cussing them out. You cussed out a bus driver before, haven't you?
Never.
Your mama?
No.
I know you know your mama watching this.
I know she's watching it too. No.
I'm sorry, sister-in-law. I think you probably cussed out a bus driver before.
I highly doubt it.
Why you highly? Never mind. Moving on. So. Never mind. So anyway, I'm sorry, sister-in-law. So anyway, Kelly go hit the damn emergency open button, and he gonna call the police on them.
Because the police were like sitting across
right, the police were sitting right there. So the bus driver then flagged the police down and told the police to get Molly. And it was a funny way. It was a funny turn on what we're sort of dealing with right now. because they turned it into a racial thing and was like, oh, so you coming after the black people, what about them? And it was like 2 white people that had jumped off the bus too to chase them with the police to be Karens, to instigate the whole situation. And the police officer was like, nope, not today, not me. Like, I will not go viral for this one, no ma'am. So I mean, of course, it was just like it was a moment. It was a nice little moment off of a serious situation. But anyway, he was like, nope, won't be me, not today. So they get to the hotel, and Tiffany eventually opens the door. Now, honestly, I kind of thought when Tiffany opened the door in that towel, and she was like, I'm sorry, I was like, ooh, Tiffany got a man in there, but she didn't. But they had a moment. Her and her husband had a moment, and the rest of the ladies were sort of standing back, you know. So then we see Molly go try to have the conversation with Andrew. And Andrew was just like, you done had a long night. Like, we could talk about this later. She was like, no, we kind of need to talk about it now. Once again, trying to control the situation because she going to make him talk about it then. But that wasn't necessarily a bad thing. Anyway, so they're talking about it. And he basically tells her, like, it shouldn't be this hard. Like, everything is on your timeline, your timetable. It shouldn't be this hard. And, you know, she was like, but I want to make it work. I want to be with you.
Chop. No. Chop. He fed up.
He is fed up.
He fed up.
And he brought up the brother thing again. I think that's when she was like, well, you know, you're right. You know, I'm sorry, you know. But I'm like, you had the opportunity. Mm-hmm. She was like, you're right. I should have went to the game. Yeah, you should have went to the game. But it wasn't until he started talking about breaking up with you. Are you taking a selfie in the middle of this damn video?
I was. It was good lighting. It was just really good lighting.
I'm gonna finish doing this one by myself. You clearly bored. You're clearly bored.
It was good lighting, and I look good. Let's mention that.
Anyway, this video is almost as long as the damn episode. We're almost done. So, really? So, now you made me lose my damn train of thought.
We talking about Andrew dumping Molly with all the problems.
Right. So he asked Molly. He was like, "What are you even fighting for right now? Like, do you really want this?" And she was shaking her head, yes, but she was crying, sort of like, I already know you about to break up with me. Yeah. So that's you sort of left that one hanging. Like, you kind of feel like Andrew broke up with Molly. You're not certain, but you kind of figure that. Then we get to Issa. Now, I called this.
Nice.
What? I called this.
I hate them for doing this. Like, I feel like when you do season finales like this, make it an extended season finale. Like, give us a little more juice. Let us get a little bit more information about what happens after.
Well, that's the purpose. That's the purpose of a cliffhanger, so that we're waiting to find out what happens.
But the cliff don't need to be that high up.
Anyway, Lawrence comes over, you know, and of course they talk about Tiffany or whatever, and he gives her this extra tight hug, and he just got this look on his face, and she was like, what is wrong with you? Baby, Condola came over. Did I not call this? Did I not say this? Hello? You don't want to sound right. Did I not?
No, you said it. I'm just upset because you were right. Like, anybody tell her to, like, oh, we were careful. Not careful enough, slut Dola.
Oh my gosh, did you call her a slut? You know it takes 2 to make a baby, right?
He's a slut too. That's why she should just dump him and go be with Kendrick. He out here with the protests. We ain't seen nothing about Lawrence.
So
I'm upset.
Condola's pregnant. And of course that rocks that whole situation. Issa and Lawrence are now sort of at a really big crossroads. She gonna keep the baby. And let me say this. As much as I like Lawrence, you said all the wrong shit. The first thing out of his mouth was, is it mine?
He literally said everything you probably would want to hear.
Exactly. Then the next thing out of his mouth was, well, how did this happen? Bitch, how you think it happened?
You gonna keep it?
You gonna keep it? And she, wait a minute. And when she said yes, he was like, what?
He wanted to know why. She was like, well, look, I already went through this with my ex. Right now, I just feel like I'm ready for this. Like,
so basically what she told him was, you can be as involved as you want to be. Either way, me and the baby are good. AKA, I don't need your money, and if you don't want to be around, it is what it is.
I already got your sperm. That was her attitude. That was her attitude. She already ruined everybody's life. You know, Lawrence ruined people's lives too.
And so, of course, Issa was just like, so does that mean you're going to be with her? And he was like, no, I want to be with you. What are you talking about?
I could choke Lawrence.
Oh, wow. And so last but not least, we see Issa getting high on somebody's balcony because that was not her apartment. She does not have a view like that. I don't know where she was.
I mean, maybe she was at the homies, but at this point, like, Lawrence, she doesn't owe you anything. Like,
why? Because that happened before they hooked back up. It's not like he got her pregnant. Like, you knew he was messing with Condola. You knew they were having sex. Like, shit happens. That's what happens when you have sex.
At the end of the day, her heart is on the line.
So the last thing we see that takes us into, I don't know when it'll probably be 2 years before we get another Insecure episode, but the last thing we see is Issa at the Ethiopian restaurant. Well, Issa walking into the Ethiopian, the same restaurant, and who's sitting at the table? Molly. And she was like, thank you for coming. Issa was like, I'm glad you called. And they start talking, but we don't hear anything that they're saying. Like, the music's playing, we're panning out. And that is the season finale. So, what you think?
I just feel like I'm upset.
I know, but tell me, make 1 minute or less. What's up?
I mean, like, Lawrence, you got her involved. She was willing to accept the whole San Francisco move, and then it was just like you had to complicate it even more by like bringing this baby into the situation. Issa, just dump it. Like, let it go. We don't need the drama. I'd rather you be happy with Kendrick. So what if he a little cray? Let's just figure it out.
He's not cray. He is. He's not cray. He's bipolar. That is not cray.
Okay, he's medicated. I will take that over everything with Lawrence and Condola, because her and Condola, even when they were trying to be friends, it was already awkward. So now it's gonna be awkward.
They not friends. She left Issa hanging with the damn block party.
Exactly. Like, nobody needs that extra drama on top of him.
She ain't never calling Issa. Even before this, she won't never call Issa again.
It's too heavy. Drop it. It's dead weight. Let it go. Suffer the heartbreak. Move on. You will be better. Your work will be better. Life will be better. You will be happy because you'll just let him go.
Stay with Lawrence. Work it out. You love him. He loves you. We are 4 years into this mess. Anyway, y'all, we're out. We'll see y'all at the. And
you can play that Keisha Cole song, "Let It Go," right now.
And she won't be here when the new season of Insecure starts. So
I might pop up.
No, you won't.
Bye. Pop up.
You won't be popping up. No, you won't. You'll be.